Aç. Açılmadı. Sen girdin mi hadi? Şeyi vereyim mi? Yok. Hakan Hoca dediğin gibi dünkü link demiş. Ali şeyi koyuversene. Linki gir de posterler dönsün. Attım. Sana değil Hakan'a da yapmışım. Artık. Ya, attım kardeşim. Başkan bak yanarsın. Hocam günaydın, nasılsınız? Ben de iyiyim hocam, sağ olun, çok teşekkür ederim. Hocam sağ olun vallahi hocam, siz büyüklerimizin destekleriyle oluyor yani. Respected participants, welcome to the last day of our Congress. And the first session is focusing on microbiological topics. And this session is going to be moderated by Professor Dr. Hakan Yardımcı. He is head of the microbiology department of Veterinary Faculty of Ankara University. He is very experienced person in this area. I would like to appreciate him by accepting our offer for moderating this session. Dear Professor, Welcome and good morning. We are happy to listen this session under your moderation.
Good morning, Ulash. Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to start the first season today together, and our first speaker, Mr. Hakan Işıdan. I think he is ready, and he is going to present to us first molecular detection of 2 viruses from domestic cats in Turkey. If you're ready, you can do it. You can start, Hakan.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Yardımcı.
First, you have to open your presentation.
Yeah.
Then you have to go to Zoom screen. Then you have to click the green button. And then select your presentation.
Okay. Interestingly, file.
Hocam önce PowerPoint sununuzu açın. Akabinden aşağıdaki yeşil düğmeye gelin.
Hocam açmadı ya. Açmaya çalışıyorum.
Yanındaki o oka tıklamayın hocam. Ortasına tıklayın.
Aynen hocam.
Ortasına tıklayın. Karşınıza poster gelecek hocam. PowerPoint gelecek. Onu seçin.
Ekran paylaşımı. Ha şuradan. Desktop.
Hocam isterseniz siz de...
Hocam şeyi açmadı. Dosya açmadı. Az önce kapattığım dosya.
Hakan hocam müsaade ederseniz diğer konuşmacıyla devam edelim. O sırada
Tamam,
Hakan hocamla...
Now we are going to by third speaker or second speaker, Mr. Recai Acı here. Are you here, Mr. Acı? Emine Altın, Adem Keskin or Utku Duran?
Evet hocam, buradayım.
Okay, Recai. Now you are going to start your presentation. I am going to explain your presentation title. It's investigation of 25OH vitamin D, magnesium and phosphorus levels in SARS-CoV-2 patients by disease severity. You can start, please.
First of all, I would like to thank the members of the Congress Committee for providing us with this presentation. I'm Dr. Recai Acı. I'm working in the biochemistry laboratory of Samsun Training and Research Hospital. In this study, it was aimed to investigate serum 25-hydroxyvitamin D, magnesium and phosphorus levels of SARS-CoV-2 PCR-positive patients and healthy individuals. The coronavirus disease, SARS-CoV-2, which emerged in December 2019 and caused a pandemic in a short time, has become a major public health problem. As you know, it's an infectious disease caused by a new coronavirus called SARS-CoV-2. The severity of the disease may be correlated with the viral load in the patients and modulated immune responses. Due to the inoperated and irregular functioning of the immune system, the virus replicates rapidly and causes a devastating inflammatory response characterized by increased levels of serum inflammatory markers such as C-reactive protein, interleukin-6, tumor necrosis factor, and erythrocyte sedimentation rate. So we need to make vitamin D through the interaction of our skin and sunlight. So UVB radiation enters our skin from sunlight. There is a vitamin D precursors in all skin called 7-dehydrocholesterol, and that 7-dehydrocholesterol gets activated by the UVB radiation and becomes D3. That D3 is not the active form of vitamin D, but it enters the circulation and then goes to the liver. In the liver, it gets hydroxylated and it becomes 25-hydroxy D3. That is not active form of vitamin D, but it is the most abundant form of the vitamin D in our body. To become an active vitamin D, conventional wisdom was that it had to go to the kidneys and undergo a second hydroxylation, where it become now 1,25-hydroxy vitamin D3. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin that has effects on the immune system. Its deficiency has been associated with acute viral infections. It has been stated that vitamin D levels in individuals may be necessary for antiviral effectiveness. It has been reported that vitamin D exerts a protective effect on alveolar epithelial cells, preserves endothelial integrity, and also induces the expression of angiotensin-converting enzyme 2. Also, phosphorus and magnesium are required for ATP synthesis and regeneration. Due to reduced food intake during infectious disease, essential components such as phosphorus and magnesium for higher ATP requirements of activated immune cells, mobilized from stored reservoirs in bones and muscles by the release of stockings. Cases of rhabdomyolysis observed in SARS-CoV-2 patients may indicate intracellular ATP depletion and perhaps severe hypophosphatemia. Magnesium is necessary to move vitamin D in the bloodstream and activate vitamin D. Magnesium deficiency may also reduce the levels of active vitamin D, 1,25-dehydroxy, and impair parathyroid hormone responses. Therefore, optional magnesium levels are required for optional vitamin D activity, with the depletion of intracellular ATP due to low phosphorus and magnesium levels, membrane instability, and ATP release into the extracellular space. Cell death may occur via necrosis. However, extracellular ATP may act as a distress signal and initiated overaction of the immune system with the possible outcome of cytokine storms or ARDS. In this study, we were able to investigate serum 25-hydroxy vitamin D, magnesium, and phosphorus levels of SARS-CoV-2 PCR positive patients and healthy people. Our study was carried out after obtaining the necessary ethics committee approval in our hospital. 232 SARS-CoV-2 PCR positive patients and 250 healthy individuals were included in this study. Of the SARS-CoV-2 PCR positive patients, 198 are in the ward and 34 are in the intensive care unit. A diagnosis of SARS-CoV-2 was made with the PCR. The data of these patients were retrospectively analyzed with the information provided by the hospital information management system of our hospital. The 25-hydroxy vitamin D, magnesium, and phosphorus levels of this patient were obtained from the data in the patient's file. However, in our study, serum 25-hydroxy level was less than 20 nanogram per milliliter, was considered severe insufficiency. 22-30 nanogram per milliliter was considered insufficient. 30-100 nanogram per milliliter was adequacy, and more than 100 nanogram per milliliter was toxicity. As you see, descriptive information and laboratory findings of the groups are given in table 1, as mean plus minus standard deviation. Here you can see the graphics. As you see, vitamin D values in SARS-CoV-2 patients were statistically lower than the values in the healthy group. Discussion. Consequently, vitamin D also affects phosphorus and magnesium metabolism, which may play a critical role in the pathogenesis of SARS-CoV-2. Therefore, we suggest that patients with SARS-CoV-2 should ideally be monitored and treated for phosphorus and magnesium deficiencies in the early stages of infection. Phosphorus and magnesium supplementation and vitamin D can also be applied as a preventive strategy in at-risk population. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ajay. Is there any question or contribution for this presentation? You can write by the chat box, or you can ask a question by microphone. I think there is not any question or contribution. Then I am going to turn to Mr. Hakan Işıdan. Are you ready, Hakan? Can you solve your
Yes.
Okay, you can start.
Okay.
You ready?
Okay. Okay.
Hocam PowerPoint sunumunuzu açtınız mı?
Açtım hocam. Şimdi
Aşağıda yeşil düğmeye basın hocam.
bastım hocam. Şimdi de çık ve yeniden aç.
Maybe he needs a Zoom update. Ulaş.
Okay, I can call him during meanwhile, and if you say okay, we can continue, dear professor.
Okay, then we are going to attend to other presentation. I can see three name, Mehmet Karakülle, İrem Süzen, and Ayşenur Dayan. I think Ayşenur Dayan going to present. Okay, Ayşenur? Or which one? İrem Süzen? Please open your microphone, Ayşenur.
Yeah, okay.
Stop, Ayşenur, stop.
Hello.
Hakan, please, 1 minute, please. Okay, Hakan, are you ready? No. Okay, we are going to yes. Okay, Hakan, yes. Ayşenur, will you stop now? Okay. Hakan,
Okay.
you can start if you're ready.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I am sorry for the software difficulties, some software difficulties. Just before an update was started, then I couldn't upload my presentation. Anyway, good morning, everyone. I would like to present you a quite simple study. First, molecular detection of 2 gyroviruses from domestic cats in Turkey, which are chicken anemia virus and gyrovirus GAGA1. Gyroviruses are one of 31 genera in the family Anneliviridae. The prototype of the gyrovirus genus is chicken anemia virus. There are 9 other species in the genus besides. chicken anemia virus. Gyroviruses are small, single-stranded circular DNA viruses. These 10 different gyroviruses have been detected in chicken, human, rodents, and various domestic animals. In addition to chicken anemia virus, different types of gyroviruses have been reported in the fetches of domestic cats to date. We aimed at the detection and demonstration of chicken anemia virus and gyrovirus GAGA1 from domestic cats in Turkey. This is the study setup. Sample collection from diarrheic domestic cats. 91 stool samples were collected. Then nucleic acid isolation and PCR detection by using our generic sets of primers. I will show you. And sequencing and analyzing. These sets were designed from us, by us. These sets for chicken anemia virus is a nested set.
I'm sorry, Hakan. Can you open your video, because maybe it will be necessary for your academic
Okay.
things. Yes.
Okay. And GAGA1 sets is a semi-nested set. Let's look at the results. Total samples were 91 samples, stool samples. 67 samples found to be positive for gyrovirus GAGA1 and 32 samples found to be positive for chicken anemia virus, which is more than double of chicken anemia virus. Gyrovirus GAGA1 found in the domestic cats. We sequenced the samples by using the same primers, and gyrovirus GAGA1 phylogenetic tree were constructed just like this. It looked like tree clade, tree branch. Up to date, these viruses have been detected from chickens, humans, one eel, and ferrets, and cats, and very few countries. We also sequenced the chicken anemia viruses that we found, and the phylogenetic tree shows that. Okay, conclusion. This study shows the presence of chicken anemia virus and gyrovirus GAGA1 in cats with diarrhea in Turkey. This is also the first report of chicken anemia virus and gyrovirus GAGA1 in cats with diarrhea in Turkey. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for your nice and interesting presentation, Hakan. Is there any question for Hakan's presentation by chat box or by microphone? I think no. Thank you very much. And now we are going to attend to other presenter. Ms. Ayşenur Dayan. I think Ayşenur is ready, and her presentation title is "The Effect of Rabies Immunoglobulin Applied to Anterolateral Tie on Muscle Functions and Acute Pain Tracking." You can start, Ms. Dayan.
Hello, good morning. My name is Ayşenur Dayan. I work as an employed at Antalya Bilim University, Faculty of Health Science, Department of Nursing. I am going to present to you today the effect of rabies immunoglobulin applied to anterolateral of muscle function and acute pain tracking. Rabies is a zootonic disease caused by rotavirus, which causes severe damage to central nervous system. The source of the disease, the virus, can be found in my domestic and wild animals. Prophylaxis should be administered in case of bite, stretching, or contact of saliva from a rabid animals with mucous membranes or open wounds. Since incubation period in rabies is variable, it is categorized according to the type of contact, and prophylaxis methods are applied according to World Health Organization recommendation on and the Ministry of Health Rabies Prophylaxis Guide. 4 or 5 doses of rabies vaccine, tetanus vaccine, and RIG are administered in different protocols dependent on the severity of the station. The wound periphery, M. deltoids and vastus lateralis part of M. quadriceps femoris are preferred as the application site of RIG. Rabies vaccine, tetanus vaccine, and rabies immunoglobulin were administered to case who was admitted to the hospital as a stage 3 rabies suspect. In our case, who was 30 years old and weighing 70 kilograms, on 23 of July 2021, 1 hour after the suspected bite, 1 dose of rabies vaccine and 1 dose of tetanus vaccine were administered in emergency room. And after the suspicions, stray dog could not be found. Rabies immunoglobulin application was performed on 25 of July 2021 under the supervision of an infection disease specialist. 2,800 IU 40 IU per kilogram RIG was applied to anterolateral tick. Application it is part of vastus lateralis of the M. quadriceps femoris. After the RIG application, the rabies vaccine protocol of the Ministry of Health of Republic of Turkey continued to apply to the patient. Evaluation of the case started on 26 of July 2021 and was evaluated in terms of muscle strength and pain for 11 consecutive days. As a result, muscle strength and VAS pain assessment scale were measured by 2 different observers. Knee extension was 2 plus on day 1, 3 plus on day 5, and 5 on day 9. Knee and hip flexion was 2 plus on day 1, 4 on day 5, and 5 on day 9. In addition, the VAS in the case was evaluated as 7 immediately after the RIG application and was expresses as 0 from the 19th day of follow-up. However, the vastus lateralis muscle has no role in hip flexion. It is not exactly whatever the hip flexion loss in our case in due to the indirect involvement of the femoral nerve and or the conditional fascial connection of the muscle with each other. We think that clinical tests and measures on this subject will be useful. Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dayan. This is very interesting presentation. And is there any question or contribution to Ms. Dayan about title? You know? I think no. Thank you, Ms. Dayan. And we are going to attend to other presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It is normally 5 title, but it is 4 for today. The title of expression of VP4 and VP7 proteins of bovine rotavirus in Lactobacillus casei. Miss Emine Atalay, are you here? Are you here, Miss Atalay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Buradayım hocam.
Would you like open your video, please? Camera.
Hocam bir saniye bilgisayarım takıldı. Hemen tekrar açıyorum.
No problem. We can wait you.
Teşekkürler hocam.
We want to open your video because it will be document for your academic stuff. This is important, maybe your academic things or issue.
Hocam bir saniye hocam hemen açıyorum.
Okay, we are waiting you. No problem.
Thank you.
Ulaş, are you tired or are you fresh? How are you?
Thank you very much, hocam. Thank you very much.
And I think Emine Atalay, I think, are you ready? Yes.
Yes.
Presentation is okay.
Yes, of course. Hocam görüntüm yok sanırım. Ayarlayamadım onu.
Okay, then you can start, Ms. Atalay.
Thank you. My name is Emine Atalay. I am a PhD student in Erciyes University Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, Department of Virology. This presentation is about my findings about my master thesis finding with the same title. Etiology of neonatal calf diarrhea. Newborn calves are susceptible to neonatal calf diarrhea, especially during their first 28 days of life. Bacteria, virus, and parasites, by attacking the lining of the calf's intestine, give rise to diarrhea. If the disease level is severe, the calf may die. However, even calves that survive will have poorer performance for the remainder of their lives when compared to healthy calves. Bovine rotavirus, one of the main etiologic agent of neonatal calf diarrhea in worldwide. Rotavirus, bovine rotavirus from Rheoviridae family, rotavirus genus, and rotavirus species. Rotavirus non-enveloped with a triple capsid structure and contains 11 segments coding for 12 proteins. The aim of the study, bovine rotavirus, is one of the most important causes of dehydration diarrhea in cattle and calves every year in our country and around the world. Expression of antigenic membrane proteins of bovine rotavirus VP4 and VP7 in Lactobacillus casei to prove the antigenity of recombinant proteins with Western blot technique. The VP4 and VP7 proteins of the rotavirus expressed in Lactobacillus casei can be used in oral vaccine studies in order to select Lactobacillus casei, the natural florobacteria of the intestine, as the expression agent and to prevent the disease in rotavirus infection. An oral vaccine is designed to stimulate mucosal immunity. The materials obtaining the rotavirus VP4 and VP7 generation, PNZ 2103 expression plasmid, Lactobacillus casei ATCC 393, Escherichia coli DH5 alpha TG1, plasmid mini prep kit, and electroporation, STS page, and Western blot demonstration. Firstly, application of VP4 and VP7 gen segment with revised transcription PCR, viral nucleic acid extraction. Bovine rotavirus isolated from a calf with diarrhea, which was previously in virus collection of the Department of Virology, was used for viral RNA extraction. Then gen regions obtained VP4 and VP7 regions of rotavirus by PCR. Pyrames preparate for PCR acquisitions of the VP4 and VP7 gen region, and this table PCR mix. The appearance of the specific gen product of the rotavirus VP4 gen region after PCR, agarose gel photo VP4, agarose gel photo VP7 gen region. Design and cloning strategy, VP4 and VP7 gens of bovine rotavirus to PNZ 2103 plasmid. The gen regions of VP4 and VP7 plasmid were cut by double cut with SNAP1 and HINT3 enzymes at a certain radius. After ligation with T4 ligase enzyme at the end of the procedure, E. coli was transferred competent cell by heat shock method, and solid broth containing chloramphenicol was sub-studies. It was incubated for 2 days by clone PCR. Positive colonies were transferred to liquid LB medium, and plasmid purification was performed. Plasmid show, plasmid photo. Transfer of plasmid into electrocompetent Lactobacillus casei electroporation. Before electroporation, Lactobacillus casei bacteria were overnight in MRS broth and then centrifuged to remove MRS brought, then electroporation lactobacillus casei cell were made electrocompetent. Plasmid transfer to lactobacillus casei cell by electroporator were inoculated onto MRS solid medium containing chlorophyll. Colony PCR was performed after 3 or 4 days incubation. Positive colonies were grown in MRS broth containing chlorophenicol, and the Lowry test was used to determine the amount of protein. SDS colony photos. SDS patch appropriate destiny SDS gel was prepared. Obtained proteins were run in mini protein tetracell system, and presence of protein was demonstrated by staining with cohesive blue VP4, VP7. Western blot. Appropriate destiny gel was prepared and proteins were run in mini protein tetracell. After demonstrating the presence of protein by SDS Western blot, protocol was followed to detect the presence of protein by Western blot, and in the final blocking stage, in order to detect the presence of specific protein, it was added to 6 milliliter of the blocking solution as primary antibody. Primary antibody obtained by immunization of rabbits with bovine rotavirus antigen. Polyclonal antibody was dilated 1/2,000 blocking solution and added onto membrane. It was incubated for 1 hour in shaker incubator at room temperature. Imaging has been performed. Western blot imaging results of expression of VP4 protein in lactobacillus casei, and imaging VP7 protein. And conclusion, infection disease caused by viral antigens are one of the leading factors that threaten the health of humans and animals. Viral antigen can mutate with different climatic events caused by environmental factor, various physical and chemical triggers, and cause zoonotic disease and global epidemic as a result. In result of increased pathogenicity, rotavirus are one of the main causes of diarrhea-related morbidity and mortality in newborns and calves all over the world and in our country. Vaccination and rapid diagnosis are the most effective ways to prevent deaths and economic losses. In order from a basis for rotavirus vaccine and rapid diagnosis kit developed studies, this study included the most common nucleotide sequence among the most common serotypes in our country. The recombinant VP4 and VP7 proteins of the rotavirus obtained by these gen-specific primers were annotated in the lactobacillus expression system. It's aimed to use the system in first laboratory animal models to show the effectiveness as a vaccine. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Ms. Atalay, for your nice and interesting presentation. Is there any question for Ms. Atalay? I think no. Thank you. We are going to attend the other presenter or speaker. And it is sixth title for this day. Examination of HCV RNA results and HCV antigen test results of patients with low titer anti-HCV positiveness. Ms. Hacer İşler, are you ready? Hacer İşler?
Yes, I'm ready.
Yes, okay.
I
Okay.
would like to thank all my professors who contributed to the Congress.
Okay, a microphone for you.
Yes. Examination of HCV RNA results and HCV antigen test results of patients with low titer anti-HCV positiveness.
Sorry, Ms. Işler, we don't see your presentation now. Now I am watching the old or before title.
Gözükmüyor diyor.
Please check it, please. Yes, it is right now. Okay, but
Yes.
We can see a conclusion. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, tamam.
Okay.
Günaydın ne demek? Repeat, good morning. Login, it is estimated that approximately 3% of the world's population is infected with hepatitis C virus. Hepatitis C virus is the most important cause of hepatitis, cirrhosis, and liver cancer. Diagnosis and follow-up of HCV infection includes screening for anti-HCV antibodies by serological methods and detection of HCV RNA by molecular methods. While HCV antibody tests are very sensitive and specific in patients with chronic HCV infection, they are insufficient to distinguish between active HCV infection and past infection. Molecular methods are considered the gold standard methods for demonstrating active HCV replication. Anti-HCV value was determined between 1 to 15 as a result of 2 studies from serum samples sent between 15 March 2019 and 18 March 2020 at Sağlık Bilimleri Üniversitesi Samsun Training and Research Hospital and 1019 serum samples with HCV RNA results were obtained. In terms of anti-HCV chemoluminescence technique, Architect E2000 about UCA and HCV RNA tests were studied with COBAS, ampli PrEP COBAS. The anti-HCV test is 2-step chemoluminescent microparticle immunoassay and is intended to qualitatively detect HCV infection in serum or plasma. Results between 2018 to 2020, 63,728 anti-HCV tests were analyzed in the Microbiology Laboratory of Samsun Training and Research Hospital, which is the center of this study. 434 positive results were found in this test with a reference range of 0 to 1, international unit and milliliter. Among the low positive results, HCV RNA test was performed at the same time in the year 1018 19 of them were tested for HCV antigen. Of these, 119 cases, 58 were families and 61 were males. In addition, the mean age of these 119 cases was 61.24 plus minus 17.67 years. They were divided into 3 groups according to their anti-HCV results. Anti-HCV results between 1 and 5 group beer between 5 to 10 group 7 and 10 and above group 3 has been named. Descriptive information about these groups is given in table. All results are as seen in the table 1. Let's go to this question. It is estimated that they carry hepatitis C virus and 3 to 4 million new cases occur each year. There are 1 to 1.3 million infected people in Turkey. The prevalence of HCV is approximately 1%, causing morbidity and mortality that affects the life course of patients, as well as a great burden on the country's economy. Persons tested for anti-HCV have the right to receive accurate and correctly interpreted test results. The CDC recommended that a person be accepted as serological evidence of HCV infection only after an anti-HCV screening test. Careful and correct use of available tests is essential for definitive diagnosis and follow-up. Although HCV infection is not expected in patients who do not show any signs of HCV infection and who have a low 5 positivity as a result of screening. False positivity is not expected, but with false positivity in the early phase of the infection, decreased immune response due to immunosuppression and regression of the infection. Low level of the anti-HCV positivity should be considered. In such cases, nucleic acid tests help to detect and diagnose HCV rania if there is, or it is recommended to be used to proactive HCV infection with strong positivity. In case of low level of the anti-HCV positivity, it was concluded that the HCV core antigen test could be used as an alternative confirmation test to the HCV rania test instead of confirming with HCV rania tests. And it would be sufficient to confirm the results with the HCV antigen test. It was known that the anti-HCV antigen test, which could be run, would be a solution for confirmation. Knowing the antigen values will enable the physician to predict the presence of REMI and reduce the high-cost HCV rania test. In our study, no HCV rania positivity was detected in any of the 1,090 low titer serum samples in which ICBH antigen could not be detected. However, there may be false positivities. We believe that instead of the HCV RNA test, the use of a simple, cost-effective HCV core antigen test would be ideal for our country. In this study, we think that HCV core antigen test may be an alternative for low positive anti-HCV confirmation instead of HCV RNA. Thanks. Sorry for my voice. I am sick, unfortunately. Sorry. No.
Have you any slide? I think now you are on reference.
No.
Do you finish your presentation, Ms. İşler?
Yes, I finished.
Thank you very much, Ms. İşler, for your nice presentation. Is there any question or contribution about this title or this presentation? I think no. Thank you very much, Ms. İşler, for your nice presentation. And they are going to attend to other title or other presentation from Mr. Murat Kaplan. I think Kaplan is ready. And now I am present his title. It is Investigation of Lumpy Skin Disease Virus in Glucoides SPP in Asian region. If you're ready, you can start, Mr. Kaplan.
Hello, everybody. I am ready. Thank you, moderator. Sorry. Sorry. I will present today to you the titled Investigation of Lumpy Skin Disease Virus in Glucoides species in the Asian region. Before the presentation, I want to introduce myself. My name is Murat Kaplan. I work in İzmir Bornova Veterinary Control Institute of the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry. Our responsible area is west of the Turkey, and we are responsible for not favorable and non-not favorable animal and aquatic animal diseases. As for aim, the aim of the study was to investigate the presence of lumpy skin disease virus in Glucoides mites, which detected first time in Turkey in 2013, and also caused minor epidemics in the Asian region in the following years. LCD is an acute to chronic viral disease in cattle characterized by fever, nodules in the skin, mucous membranes, and internal organs, emaciation, enlarged lymph nodes, skin edema, and sometimes deaths can be occurred. The incubation period varies from 2 to 5 weeks. Clinical signs also can range from inapparent to severe. Nodule on the skin and mucous membranes develop 1 to 7 centimeter. The morbidity rate also can vary from 2 to 85%, depending on the presence of the insect vectors and host susceptibility. Mortality is low in the most cases, but sometimes it can be as high as 20 to 85%. Etiologic agent is belong to Poxviridae family, Poxviridae virus genus, and is the lumpy skin disease virus serotype 1. Virus is envelope brick-shaped and approximately 300 nanometers. And virus is related to antigenically to sheep and goat pox virus, and they cannot be differentiated using routine serological tests. Genome of the LCD virus is linear and has a double-strand DNA genome and about 154 kilobases. As transmission of the LCD virus is transmitted primarily by biting insects, particularly mosquitoes such as Cudex and Aedes species. Epidemics occur in the general rainy season. Direct contact is also a minor source of the infection. The virus can be present in cutaneous lesions, saliva, nasal discharge, milk, and the semen. The virus can survive is desiccated crust for up to 35 days. For the study, flight traps were set up in the different locations of the Izmir, Manisa, Muğla, Denizli, and Aydın provinces in the Aegean region between July and October in 2016 and 17. At a total of, we can see on the table, a total of 2,481 Culicoides species were collected, and the most number of the Culicoides were identified is Culicoides imcoda was 954, and the least number of the collected Culicoides is Opsilatus. The highest number of the sample obtained from Muğla, as you can see on the table, and the least number of the sample from Denizli, Manisa. From the traps, a total of 78 pools were created from meats identified as Culicoides. Pooled samples homogenized in a cooled homogenizer with the help of ceramic beads by adding the amine media. Homogenized by sandwich at 3,500 RPM at 4 centigrade degree for 15 minutes. And the spernatant was removed for total nucleic acid extraction. And then from the extraction, a qPCR test was performed to detect the LCD virus according to OIE recommendation. As a result of the qPCR test, LCD virus nucleic acid was not detected in any samples in any provinces, unfortunately, maybe fortunately. LCD disease was formerly known as African disease and was limited to this content until 1989. But it first appeared in Turkey in 2013 in Kahramanmaraş, Elbistan district, And in a short time, it was spread throughout the country. Afterwards, following the years, it expanded in a wide geography, extended to Europe, Russia, and China. But the disease was brought under control by intensive vaccination studies. As I mentioned before, transmission of the LCD is thought to be primarily through insects, but direct and indirect contact is ineffective or negligible. The main cause of transmission is mechanical via arthropod vectors. It has been reported that mosquitoes, such as Culex mirificans and Aedes nutritions, and flies, Stomaxis salcitrans, and Biometa fasciata, as well as the synanthropic housefly, Musca domestica, may play a major role in the epidemiology of the LCD virus. In addition, blood-sucking arthropods such as harpiks, including Rhizophilus and Ambioloma, also play a mechanical role in the transmission of the LCD virus. The LCD genome in Colicoides has been identified in some studies, but one study also suggested that it may be a biological vector. Others were mechanical vector. The researchers suggest that play biological role in the epidemiology. Therefore, after the study, more studies are were needed to better understand the roles of the Colicoides as a biological vector in the epidemiology of the LCD virus. In the study, the presence of LCD virus in 6 different Colicoides species was investigated in the Asian region, which was endemic in the study time, and all samples were found to be negative. As I mentioned before, in 2016 and 17, samples collected years in Asian region, epidemic years for the LCD disease. So we investigated the Colicoides for the presence of the presence or absence of the LCD virus. In a conclusion, no evaluation could not made regarding its potential as a biological vector, but results of this study is not imply Colicoides is not biological vector of the disease of the LCD disease, LCD virus. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaplan, or Murat, for me. Is there any question or contribution, Mr. Kaplan's presentation? Yes, this is very interesting presentation from Kaplan, and we are going to attend the other presentation. This is going to present by Hamit Ceylan. Are you ready, Hamit? Yes, I think.
Yes, dear Chair.
Yes, his presentation, title of presentation is Bioinformatics Analysis to Identify and Evaluate the Critical Driver Genes and Pathways Involved in COVID-19. If you're ready, you can start, Mr. Ceylan.
Yes, dear, I can read it. Thank you, dear Chair, for your kind introducing. Good morning, everyone. This is Hamit Ceylan from Atatürk University, Faculty of Science, Department of Molecular Biology and Genetics. I'm gonna talking about prognostic and predictive gene signatures identification. My talk title is Bioinformatic Analysis to Identify and Evaluate the Critical Drivers, Genes, and Pathways Involved in COVID-19. Yes. Although it's now the most important feature of COVID-19 is respiratory involvement, many studies from the beginning of the pandemic to the present have revealed the effects of COVID-19 on diverse organ systems. Experts say that COVID will likely lose its pandemic status sometime in 2022, I hope so, due to rising global vaccination rates and developments of antiviral COVID pills. However, recent studies show that more serious long-term health problems await us due to COVID. According to the latest findings, COVID-19 also leads to emergence of many complications as it targets multiple organs and tissues, such as kidneys, large intestine, liver, nervous system. Additionally, our latest study also showed that these diseases can contribute to the new late onset cardiovascular anomalies in near future. It's well known that non-communicable diseases, including CVDs, diabetes, and cancer, are the dominant causes of death worldwide. Moreover, people with underlying such health conditions have a higher risk of a severe COVID-19 disease. Given the complexity observed in these diseases, the identification of core genes and pathways using bioinformatic-based analysis can help us to reveal a specific molecular mechanism for smart and effective therapeutic interventions. So, as we gain more insight into the drivers of COVID-19, it will be easier to predict the post-COVID conditions and long-term effect of the disease. As you've seen in this work, the potential molecular mechanism that drive the long-term ramifications of the COVID-19 infection were evaluated by bioinformatic analysis. The overall workflow and methodology used in the present study are shown in this figure. Firstly, the target genes associated with COVID-19 were mined from the publicly available comparative toxicogenomic database, also known CDT. And then using string online tool, a protein-protein interaction network was constructed. And then a PPI network was visualized and analyzed using Cytoscape software. Finally, core genes were determined according to maximal click centrality or MCC algorithm of Cytopa plugin of Cytoscape. Lastly, to identify genes at the biologically functional level, core genes or hub genes were submitted to David online analysis resource. In results, according to the CTD, almost 10,000 genes are associated with COVID-19. However, the first 100 genes ranked by inference score were selected for further analysis. The top genes are summarized in this table. Then a PPI network was constructed using these 100 genes. Thereafter, the top 10 genes from the PPI network and functional subnetworks calculated using the topological scoring method of MCC were selected as hub genes. And then gene ontology analysis further classified these 10 hub genes into 3 categories, including biological processes, cellular components, and molecular functions, as summarized in Table 2. The results of the KEC pathway enrichment analysis revealed that these genes are involved in many pathways that are very critical for the cell, including TNF signaling pathway, nuclear factor kappa beta signaling pathway, pathways in cancer, MAPK pathway, and FOXO signaling pathway. In discussion, according to the latest World Health Organization report, more than 400 million people worldwide have been infected and almost 6 million people have died from the COVID-19. Scientific and medical studies have led to significant development in diagnosis, treatment, and prevention COVID-19, However, there are many blurry points that aren't yet fully understood about the effect of the after acute phase of the disease. Today, there are different effective therapeutic approaches for COVID-19. These are aimed at restoring and protecting individual health only in acute stage of the disease. However, it remains unclear what kind of health problems someone who has an illness will face in the process called long COVID-19 or post-COVID-19 syndrome. Therefore, it is considered very important to determine the molecular mechanism involving critical genes in order to predict the long-term effect of the disease. As we mentioned previously, analysis of the COVID-19 related genes obtained from the CTD database revealed that these genes are associated with many critical pathways, including TNF signaling pathway, pathways in cancer, insulin resistance, MAPK signaling pathways, etc. For example, according to the latest findings, brain damage caused by COVID-19 is associated with TNF signaling pathway. Similarly, tool-like receptor signaling pathway, which plays a role in triggering and progression of many diseases, including cancer and hypertension, is also associated with COVID-19. Additionally, transcription factors in the FOXO signaling pathway are regulate the expression of genes in important cellular physiological events, such as cell cycle control, oxidative stress resistance, longevity, and apoptosis. Since change in this pathway are associated with the abnormal regulation of molecular drivers underlying many diseases, it has the potential to cause various long-term COVID-19 related complications. Finally, although knowledge about the COVID-19 has been provided, there are still vital information gaps in terms of system biology. Due to its complex nature and polygenic character, determining of shot point strategy with multi-omic analysis can provide us useful information regarding COVID-19 management. And new or adapted therapeutics for the pathways identified in the study may provide useful information for controlling potential COVID-19 associated long-term complications. My presentation ends here. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ceylan. However, there is a question to you in chat box. Can you see from Abdul Hassan? The question is, how do we select the subnetwork from PPI diagram? Would we please suggest some method? Thank you. Can you see?
Thank you for your question, Dr. Hassan. We select the subnet work of the PPI diagram using the M-code plugin of Cytoscape. Cytoscape plugin.
Yeah. Mr. Hassan, is it okay for you?
I can read.
Okay. Is there some criteria? Please, you can see. You can write or reply him.
Dr. Hassan, you can detailed information about this presentation. You will see in full text version of the presentation.
Okay. If you want, you can write you by email or other media.
Yes.
Now, thank you, Mr. Ceylan, and thank you, Abdul Hassan. Now we are going to attend to other presentation. Other presentation is going to present to us by Mr. Ömer Barış İnce. Are you ready, Mr. İnce?
Hazırım hocam. Sesim geliyor mu?
Geliyor. Thank you. The title of presentation of Mr. İnce is Investigation of Bovine Coronavirus Infection in Afyonkarahisar Province in the Inner Aegean region of Turkey. Yes, you can start, Mr. İnce.
Sayın Hakan hocam, değerli başkan ve saygıdeğer katılımcılar. Yurtta barış, dünyada barışın olması, savaşın olmaması, en güzel düşlerin, hayallerin bizler için gerçek olması, en kötü gerçeklerin bizler için düş olması dileklerimle Denizli'den saygı ve selamları hepinize gönderiyorum. Lütfen kabul buyurun. Biraz Covid rahatsızlığı geçirdiğimden dolayı ses ve öksürükten dolayı mazur ve anlayışınız için de şimdiden teşekkürleri bir borç bilirim. Türkiye'de İç Ege bölgesindeki Afyonkarahisar ilindeki neonatal diyare buzağlarda bovine koronavirüs enfeksiyonunu araştırmak amacımız. Bilindiği üzere enteropatejenik patojenler hem insanlarda hem hayvanlarda özellikle neonatal canlılarda, yeni yavrularda ciddi diyare semptomlarıyla birlikte ölümlere neden olabilmektedir. Özellikle buzağlarda bu şiddetli diyareli seyreden enfeksiyonlar ciddi ekonomik kayıplara sebep olmakla birlikte hem Türkiye'de dünyada yaygın olarak görülmektedir. Enterik patojenler deyince aklımıza gelenler önemli bovine koronavirüs ve bovine rotavirüs enfeksiyonları. Bunların
Mr. İnce, excuse me, I want to divide you because language is English. If you talk English on your presentation, it will be available for us. Mr. Ulaşır Aceröz wrote me. Can you read English, your presentation?
Okay.
Now we can see your presentation, investigation of bovine coronavirus, etc., on our screen. You can read, please, English, please, and you can attempt by English language, please.
Okay, thanks. It's a known enteropathogenic infection that can cause death with severe disease from new offspring, both human and animal, especially national creatures, especially in cows. Infection with this severe diarrhea cause serious economic losses. It's common both in Turkey and in the world. The most important one of that can mind when we say enteric pathogen bovine coronavirus, bovine rotavirus infection, and this usually have been subclinic cause in adult organism which can start the virus and transmit oral with fecal contaminated.
Mr. İnce, we can see only your first slide. We don't see other slides. If you move your slides from one to other side, yeah, okay. No.
Excuse me.
No problem. You can go on, please.
First of all, excuse me, dear distinguished chairman and distinguished participants, I sent my greatest respect from Deniz all of your present contact. The title of presentation is known. Enteric pathogen is infection that cause due to several disease symptoms and new operation both small and animal, especially natural creature. Especially cause infection this several serious economic loss in common both Turkey and the world. The most important one of the mind when the enteric pathogen bovine coronavirus or bovine rotavirus infection is usually subclinic cause to adult organizations. International Committee of Virus Toxin and Bovine Coronavirus beta coronavirus genus have characteristic point glycoprotein like sunrise with the electron microscope. This appearance they got manipulated to corona, mean gastrointestinal symptoms include severe dehydration, depression, decreased with weight, and anorexia. Bovine coronavirus infection can be diagnosed with direct detection via viral nucleic acid stool, fecal sample, nasal swab, and directly by detection antibody mechanism. Bovine coronavirus has been reported from countries around the world. The Afyon-Karahisar region, it is an important position in terms of livestock potential with the large pastures and arable land, where a significant amount of forest crop can be grown. The aim of this study is investigation of bovine coronavirus in calves with dairy in Afyon-Karahisar province in the region of Turkey. In this study, our aim was to investigate the role of present bovine corona infectious calf diet in Afyon-Karahisar province. For this purpose, infection was investigated fecal samples calves younger than 3,000 months with diarrhea symptoms in Afyon-Karahisar province between 2017 and 2019. A total of 83 fecal samples were analyzed. The year-based distribution of samples as seen in the table. ALSEC is the procedure reported by the manufacturer. As a test, and these samples were tested to commercial sound ALSEC kit. The test was performed according to protocol specified by the manufacturer. When we came to result in general coronavirus infection was detected 9 of 83 samples and found out to 10 to 84%. When we looked at the years, there was no statistical significance according to the years. However, this is a practical increase based on the year. When we evaluated these results, is what determined that coronavirus infection is still imported calf diet the Afyon-Karahisar province. While studies on coronavirus in found to different countries the rate between 3 or 6%. In similar studies, our countries 1.96, 13%. When we look at the average of the Turkey, the results determined with the average of the Turkey. When we look at the micro level, 1 point study is counting to the Afyon-Karahisar detected. One of the points we want to emphasize in that there is no vaccination against coronavirus. Our provinces, this example, since there are family type business, there is no vaccination other than routine minister aircraft vaccination, and indicated that there were calf lost the winter periods gradually. What the last pandemic period has taught this, it is vaccination with vaccine specific to local and national isolated can prevent economic losses. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. İnce. Get well soon, first of all, and I want to ask any question or contribution to Mr. İnce. Is there any question or contribution? No. Thank you very much, Mr. İnce. And now we are going to the other presentation. Other presentation present to us from Mr. Serkan Kökkaya. The title of this presentation is Investigation of Newborn Calf Diarrhea Causing Pathogen Distribution in Emergency Unit of Animal Hospital. Are you ready, Serkan? Yes, you are ready. You can start. When do you want to do?
Thank you, dear Professor Yardımcı. My name is Serkan. I'm PhD student at Erciyes University, Department of Virology, and same time I'm a research assistant at Yozgat Bozok University. I would like to thank the organizing committee for this event. I'm happy to share one of our research studies entitled Investigation of Newborn Calf Diarrhea Causing Pathogen Distribution in the Emergency Unit of Animal Hospital. Newborn calf mortality is most commonly associated with diarrhea that occurs in newborns. Newborn diarrhea is one of the significant problems in the agricultural revenue and causing remarkable economical loss in developing countries and developed countries as well. Here in this slide, you can see a news taken from a Turkish news agency showing the numbers of calf mortality, which is around estimated 750,000 in per year. Soon after 2018 has been declared Calf Awareness Year by Republic of Turkey, Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry. Several studies have already been shown that newborn diarrhea is most commonly caused by viral pathogens such as rotavirus and coronavirus, bacterial pathogens such as E. coli and Salmonella as well, Cryptosporidium spp as a parasitic infection. However, prevalence and distribution of pathogens that causing severe newborn calf diarrhea was remained unknown and have not been clarified yet. Here in the study, we aim to identify the prevalence and distribution of pathogens that causing severe newborn calf diarrhea in newborn calves aged less than 45 days in the intensive care units of Animal Hospital at RGS University. We also investigated age-related occurrence of pathogens, co-infection status, and seasonal distribution of pathogens as well during 1 year of investigation. For these purposes, clinical scoring index for diarrhea, such as skin tests, enable to stand, sunken eyes, enable to eat or drink, was performed by clinicians. And calves showing severe symptoms diarrhea, such as tremor, low temperature, and hospitalization at ICU at least 24 hours were included to this study. Results show that 9% of newborns were showing severe diarrhea symptoms among the calves admitted to animal hospital. A PCR panel to identify genomic DNA and RNA of pathogens has been performed from fecal samples of severe diarrhea showing calves. Results taken from PCR screening showing the most common of pathogens identified from fecal samples is Cryptosporidium and followed by rotavirus.
Sorry, I want to divide you because we don't see your slides. We can see only first slides of you.
I'm sorry.
Would you like, yes, move them or quickly you can see, you can show them.
Now can you see?
You can summarize, it is possible for you. Yes.
Okay. Am I start first? Am I start now? Or I can continue?
Yes, you can see. Yeah.
Here in the site we aim to identify prevalence and distribution of pathogens that causing severe newborn diarrhea in newborn calves aged less than 45 days in the intensive care unit of Animal Hospital at RGS University. We also investigated age-related occurrence of pathogens, co-infection status, and seasonal distribution of pathogens, as well during 1 year of investigation. For these purposes, clinical scoring index for diarrhea, such as skin tests, enable to stand, sunken eyes, and enable to eat or drink. was performed by clinicians. And calls showing severe symptoms such as tremor, low temperature, and hospitalization at ICU at least 24 hours were included to this study. Results showed that 9% of newborns were showing severe diarrhea symptoms among the calls admitted to animal hospital. A PCR panel to identify genomic DNA and RNA of pathogens has been performed from fecal samples of severe diarrhea showing calls. A PCR panel results taken from PCR screening showing the most common pathogen identified from fecal samples is Cryptosporidium, followed by rotavirus. We also observed that more than of the severe infection caused by single mode infection, which is heavily either by Cryptosporidium or rotaviruses. Dual infection was most common infection mode in severe diarrhea. And there is a close relationship between Cryptosporidium and rotaviruses. Most of the calls admitted to ICU during winter season, and identification rotavirus and Cryptosporidium was commonly found in February. We also identified E. coli infection, which is estimated around 12% out of the collect sample, and 90 of them led infection within first week of cal delivery. In the conclusion and in the discussion and conclusion, we could say Cryptosporidium and rotaviruses mostly identified from severe newborn calf diarrhea, either single or dual infection manner. Such results should advise farmers or livestock managers to take required actions in order to limit infections among the cows, especially those within first 2 weeks of life. First week of life significantly found important for E. coli infection, so they might want to pay more attention to hygiene and sanitation rules. Lastly, farmers should also consider shifting calving season from winter season to another in order to decrease accumulated number of diarrhea prevalence in winter season. However, still we need more data and results taken from severe cases by including other gastrointestinal pathogens as well. This presentation summarized from our research study, which is published by MDPI Publishing Group. You can check it out for further details related to this presentation if you're interested. I would like to thanks to Scientific Research Foundation Council of Erciyes University, and also many thanks researchers who contributed with valuable efforts to this study. Last but not least, thanks for your attention and enjoy the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kökkaya, your nice and comprehensive presentation about neonatal diarrhea in calves. And is there any question or contribution to Mr. Kökkaya's presentation? I think no. Thank you, Serkan. And we are going to attempt to other presentation. Other presentation, I think Ms. Aito, Gizem Aito, going to present to us. Yes, I can see her. And yes, yes, her presentation's title is comparison of different virus sampling techniques in a bovine coronavirus model. Okay. Yes. If you're ready, you can start, Ms. Aito.
Yes. Can you see my presentation, Professor?
Yes. We can see.
Okay. Well, thank you. Okay. Distinguished speakers, my name is Gizem Ayto. I would like to present a study we carried out in the laboratory of Uludağ University Veterinary Faculty of Virology Department. For the last 2 years, because of pandemic, need of an effective disinfectant or antiviral as a control or protection method arised, and researchers on the effect of synthetic or natural products in this direction have gained attention. Most have been tested by animal models. Besides, there is no standard accepted method, but chosen materials or methods can affect correct positivity. Therefore, in this study, it was aimed to determine the most appropriate sampling model that can be selected in antiviral efficiency trials, which will give the highest recovery of virus particles. For this purpose, bovine coronavirus strain Mebus, which is a reference strain for bovine coronavirus classified in the genus of beta coronaviruses, including SARS-CoV-2, was used, and MDBK cell line used for the titration assays, as well as for propagation of viruses. Cells were maintained in dulbicose minimal essential medium supplemented with heat-treated fetal calf serum. In this study, 14 different experimental conditions were evaluated. Virus suspension placed on a surface in different ways and collected by different methods. Each condition was repeated 3 times. 6 of them were done without swab sampling. That's what we see on this slide now. If we have to summarize all the methods for time constraint, in one condition, virus suspension was applied on a cellulose filter paper. In another, virus suspension was sprayed as smear. And in other conditions, virus suspension was released as a droplet at different volumes or numerous droplets. But in all conditions, no matter what was the virus suspension volume was, virus titers were all equal. Each experiment design incubated both for 2 hours and 12 hours. At the end of the incubation period, samples were taken and used in titration assays. On this slide, we see the rest of the experiment designs. Virus suspension was sprayed as smear in 4 petri dishes and released as numerous droplets in other 4 petri dishes. All were collected by using dry or private rayon swabs. Taken samples used in virus titration assays, and each experiment design incubated both for 2 and 12 hours and also repeated 3 times again. When we look at the results, when we compare the second hour values, they were 75 to 44%, similarly to the control virus titers. But those values were decreased for 12-hour titration. It was mostly similarly 70%, and lowest similarity was 25% in the 12th hour. The most effective method in the second hour was a condition that 0.2 milliliter virus suspension was incubated as a whole drop. The following highest concentration obtained by the virus suspension were kept in a single drop at higher volumes like 2 or 5 milliliter. The lowest recovery were the small drops collected by wet swab and kept in medium for 30 minutes. And it was seen that the highest loss, like 75%, was obtained in the collection with dry swab of virus particles left on a surface by the smear method and weighted in medium. So when we look at the conclusion, the lowest virus titer was obtained in the condition sampled through the swab sampling after being sprayed on the petri dishes and kept at room temperature for 12 hours. And another conclusion is the incubation of swab material in medium does not increase the recovery chance of swab sampling of dry surfaces. So in this study, the differences between collected viruses from a surface glass area are discussed, and it was determined that aspiration method gave highest results in virus recovery compared to the other sampling methods. So preferring this method may provide more sensitive results in areas with low virus concentration or in experiments to be conducted for efficiency analysis. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Alto, for your nice presentation. And is there any question or contribution for Ms. Alto presentation? I think no. Thank you very much, Ms. Alto. We are going to attend the other presentation from Hilal Karadeniz. Ms. Karadeniz, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, I can see you are online. Would you like open your camera and your presentation?
Okay.
And now I am going to present your title. It is the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic of professional image perception of nurses. Yes, you can start. When do you want to do?
Okay. But my camera is unfortunately problem. Okay, I can start. Yes, I'm Hilal Karadeniz, a research assistant at Düzce University, Faculty of Health Sciences and Nursing Department. At the same time, a PhD student at Marmara University. First of all, I would like to thank the organization of the Congress. In our study, we examined the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic of the professional image perception of nurses. The study was conducted to determine the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on nurses' perception of professional image and to determine the factors affecting it. And research questions, and first question is, has the COVID-19 pandemic caused a change in nurses' perceptions of their professional image? And the second question is, what are the factors that affect the professional image perception of nurses positively or negatively during the COVID-19 pandemic? The universe of the research consists of 48,538 nurses registered to the Facebook social media account of the website, this line. And since the non-probability sampling method was used in our study, no sample calculation was made, and 717 nurses participated in the descriptive, cross-sectional, and correlational study. The data of the study were collected by using the descriptive information form and the scale for the image of nursing profession. The link created online was shared on this social media account after the participants read and approved the study's instructions and the informed consent form. They were given access to the data collections tools, and data were evaluated using descriptive statistics and Kurzweil H-test and logistic regression analysis at a 95% confident interval. As the results, the average age of the nurses participating in the research is 29 years, and most of them are female, female and undergraduate. And most of them live in the city center. And only 31% of them have professional experience between 2 and 5 years. And most of the nurses working training and research hospital and work in intensive care units. Professional image perception of the head nurses is higher than the others. And nurses who satisfied with the department they work in are higher than the others. And it has been determined that nurses who are happy to work during the pandemic period and feel special during this period have more positive perceptions of their profession. And in this study, it is seen that nurses who feel the moral support of the society during the COVID-19 pandemic process think that the society has developed a positive perception towards the nursing profession and don't plan to resign in this period, have more positive image perception towards the profession. Nurses felt special during this period because they had people healed them the saved lives and take the lead in the struggle fight to be respected, to be cared about, to understand professional value and spiritual saturation. And having a good and very good professional image perception was affected by independent variables such as working time, being satisfied with serving during the COVID-19 pandemic, feeling special for providing service, and feeling the moral support of the community. And as conclusion, this study showed that the COVID-19 pandemic had a moderately positive effect on nurses' perception of professional image, and that nurses' perception of professional image was affected by some factors in this period. These factors are the duration of nurses working in the profession, the position in the institution, being satisfied with the department, being satisfied with the service during the pandemic process, feeling special due to working during the pandemic process, thinking that the society's perception of the nurses' profession has changed positively during the pandemic process, and feeling the moral support of the society. And recommendations in order to improve the professional image of nurses, it is recommended to develop strategies at the institutional and legal level to increase professional motivation, such as improving unfavorable working conditions, reviewing personal rights, ensuring standardization in nursing education, legal detailing and implementation of the duties, authorities, and responsibilities of nurses, and making plans to improve the nursing profession of the society. And thanks for your attention and for your listening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Karadeniz, for your nice and interesting work. Is there any question or contribution for Ms. Karadeniz's presentation? I think no. Okay, thank you, Ms. Karadeniz. Now we are going to attend to other presentation. It will present by Ms. Handan Eren. I can see her. His camera is open, and title of presentation of Ms. Eren is the relation between COVID-19 awareness and vaccine hesitancy among university students. If you are okay, you can start, Ms. Eren.
Okay, I'm going to start my presentation. I'm Handan Eren. I'm working at Yalova University at Nursing Department. My research topic is about COVID-19 awarenesses and vaccine hesitancy. It is important that this research is conducted in a period when the country is transitioning from online education to in-person education for the first time, so that the research findings can provide recommendations for policies to be carried out regarding the pandemic. This study is descriptive and cross-sectional. The population of the research is about 8 million university students in Turkey, and the research was finally undertaken with 700 students. And data collection tools, the specification form was created after a review of available literature, and we used COVID-19 awareness scale and the vaccine hesitancy scale in pandemic. The online data collection forms were first sent to university students who agreed to participate in the study via email, who were then asked to forward the research link to other university students. And for implementation of the research, ethical approval was obtained from Yalova University Ethics Committee. And when come to the results, this is table 1 is showing descriptive characteristic of the students, and most of them was female and health sciences and second education. And again, most of them of socioeconomic level was medium, and diagnosed with COVID-19 and having a COVID-19 vaccine. And as the other result is about mean score of the scale. It was found that students score higher in COVID-19 awareness total scale and all its subdimensions, below average in the vaccine hesitancy scale in pandemics, and the lack of confidence subdimension, and above the average in the risk subdimension. Table 3, in examining the relationship between the descriptive characteristic of the students and the mean score of the COVID-19 awareness scale, we see that female students score statistically significantly higher than male students, and those who were vaccinated than unvaccinated in all scale subdimension and total score averages. And a statistically significant difference was found between department and the mean score of the scale. In the advanced analysis, there was a statistically significant difference found between students studying in health sciences and sciences in terms of distance and hygiene subdimension and total scale averages. And table 4, in table 3, I am going. In terms of socioeconomic levels of the individuals with whom the students live, there was a statistically significant difference between low to medium and low to high socioeconomic levels in the awareness subdimension, and between low to medium and low to high socioeconomic levels. When we examine the table 4, when we examine the difference between the specification of the students and the vaccine hesitancy scales in pandemic mean score, we see that men score statistically significantly higher than women in the lack of confidence subdimension and the total scale score. The department in which students studied created a statistically significant difference in the total scale score and the subdimension mean scores. These differences occurred between health sciences and social sciences in the lack of confidence subdimension, between health sciences and educational sciences, and between social sciences and sciences in this total scale score. When we came to table 5, a moderate negatively correlation was found between the COVID-19 awareness scale and the vaccine hesitancy scale in pandemic. At conclusion, individuals are becoming increasingly aware of measures to protect against COVID-19, but it is known how this affects opinion about the vaccine. Our studies show that university students who make up a significant part of the population have a very high awareness of COVID-19. They find vaccines in pandemics risky, but their hesitation is below average. These results show that gender, department, and grade, socioeconomic level, and the status of being vaccinated against COVID-19 were effective. In addition, we found that hesitancy regarding the vaccine decreased with the increase of the awareness about COVID-19. The fact that awareness of COVID-19 decreases and vaccination hesitancy in pandemics increases as education level increases have made us think that activities should be organized so that students can access reliable information about COVID-19 in education programs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Handan Eren, for your nice and comprehensive work. This is very interesting results about students. This is very important for us also. And is there any question or contribution for Ms. Eren? I think no. Yes. Then we are going to start to last presentation of this season from Ms. Hamidedur Çelik Özdemir. I think she is ready, and she is going to present to us the title of the effect of mother's care burden on parent-child relationship during the COVID-19 pandemic process. Microphone is for you, Ms. Özdemir.
Thank you, dear Professor Yardımcı. Hello, everyone. Can you see my presentation? I am sharing it.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank to Congress Organizing Committee for giving the opportunity to present. I will present to you our title, study title, The Effect of Mother's Care Burden on the Parent-Child Relationship During the COVID-19 Pandemic Process. You know, the pandemic not only affected the physical health of individuals, but also negatively affected the life process of families with children. With the distance education system, the education of children at home, the fact that the people have to stay at home all the time have led to changes in the home lives of families. The increased caregiver burden of mothers during the COVID-19 pandemic may affect parental behavior and jeopardize the parent-child relationship. This study was conducted to examine the effect of mother's care burden on the parent-child relationship during the COVID-19 pandemic process. This descriptive and relationship King study was conducted between May and June 2021 with 229 mothers residing in Erzincan and having children between the ages of 6 and 18. Demographic information form and scales were used to collect study data. The questionnaire link, which includes the burden scale for family caregivers and the parent-child relationship scale, was created by the researchers through Google Forms. mothers with children between the ages of 6 and 18 who had the internet access were literature enough to participate and access the online survey and volunteered to participate in the research were included in the study. Filling the questionnaire took an average of 10 or 15 minutes. The data was analyzed using statistic program SPSS 25. Percentage, means, and Pearson correlation analysis were used in the evaluation of data. Before the study questionnaire was applied, research ethical approval was obtained from the Ministry of Health and Erzincan Binali Yıldırım University Scientific Research Ethics Committee. Let's look at result part. The description of mothers participating in the study according to descriptive characteristic is given the table 1. It was determined that the mean age of the mothers was 37.45, 59.40% were housewives, 39.3% had less income than their expenses, and 72.1% lived in the city center. The burden scale, family caregivers and parent-child relationship scale mean scores of the mothers are given table 2. Mother's burden of care scale mean score 12.44 and parent-child relationship scale mean score 40.88 were also moderate. It was determined that there was a positive and weak relationship between the care burden of mothers and the parent-child relationship. As a result of the research, it was found that as the care burden of mothers increased, the parent-child relationship deteriorated. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Çelik Özdemir. Is there any question or contribution for presentation of Ms. Çelik Özdemir? Yes, it was a very nice presentation and specific presentation as others, especially on COVID-19. I'm very glad we have seen many works on COVID-19 from our university and our researchers. And now, is there any? I think there is not any question or contribution for Ms. Çelik Özdemir's presentation. Then I am going to close our season. However, we can see we have seen many presentation, nice, comprehensive, and very high scientific presentations from speakers. I want to say thanks to all, and thanks especially Mr. Ulaş Acaröz, because this is I can see this is very quality and scientific conference about this area, about biology and microbiology and especially health science. Now I am going to finish our season. Ms. Acaröz, do you want to say anything?
Dear Professor Dr. Hakan Yardımcı, we appreciate for your contribution and presence here. Thank you very much for your nice moderation. It is always good something to do together with you. It was honor for me that you came here.
Thank you very much. If you want, we can open our camera and we can take a print screen.
Okay, we can
yes,
do.
Souvenir.
Dear respected researchers, could you open your cameras to make a photo together?
Yes, this is very important, you know, after conference season. Yes.
Açın. Barış, siz de açın.
We are waiting.
Duygu, sen de içeride misin?
Open your camera, please. We are going to take photo. Ulaş, you can take, I think.
I will do. I will do.
Okay.
Sayın hocalarım, kameralarınızı açabilirseniz birlikte fotoğraf çektireceğiz. Dear respected participants, can you open your cameras? We will make a photo together. Alayım mı hocam?
Okay, you can do it.
Tamamdır hocam.
Okay.
Thank you very much everybody for the contribution. And we will open now the poster presentation with the music till the 12 o'clock. And at the 12 o'clock, we will continue with the invited speaker sections. Thank you again for all your contributions.
you.